Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mission Report, the Nintendo News Show. This is episode number 19. My name is James, and today I have seven different items to discuss with you. The first thing that I want to talk about is that Star Fox is back. Last Wednesday, so the same day that my last episode went live, it was kind of bad timing on my part, but I decided to not sit down and record about it until now because I wanted to give it some time to kind of marinate a little bit. There was a 16-minute Star Fox Direct. Star Fox has been rumored to be making its return here in 2026, and basically, Nintendo confirmed all of these rumors, and they put out this Star Fox Direct, and it basically said that this is going to be a remake of Star Fox 64. They didn't say it's a remake of the game. They said it is based on Star Fox 64, and the stage layouts are going to be the same, but there's going to be new cutscenes, huge visual overhaul, new dialogue, all that kind of good stuff in there. And additionally, in this Star Fox Direct, they talked about the different vehicles that you're going to be in. The main vehicle in the game, obviously, is the R-Wing. I think is the case in most Star Fox games. They also covered the different planets and areas in the game, and then the different difficulties. There's an easy, normal, and expert difficulty. They also covered some of the different game modes. There's a campaign, which is exactly what you would expect it to be. A challenge mode, which is basically where you can replay missions from the campaign with like added objectives or difficulties and stuff. And then there's also a battle mode. And the battle mode, I think when the game launches, is going to include 3 different stages, and each stage will have its own separate rule set. So you're basically going to be playing a different type of game depending on which stage you are on. Battle mode is going to be 4 versus 4, and it will be either private match. You could do private matches or public matches. I don't remember if it said that you could play with multiple people on one single Switch, but it did show on there that this game will include game share, which, if you don't remember, is that I can buy the game on my Switch too, and then 3 other people can play with me on their Switches without owning the game, similar to It Takes Two and Split Fiction from that other team. Another thing that they talked about in this Star Fox Direct was the control options, and I was surprised to see that this game on Nintendo Switch 2 is going to support the Nintendo 64 controller for NSO. They also said that the game is going to include mouse controls, and there's also going to be an interesting mode where you can split up your Joy-Con between you and a friend to basically play co-op, but only on like one single ship, where one of you will control the like flying and steering, and then the other one will control the shooting. I don't really think that looks like fun. I would probably have fun if I had anybody to play with me, but I don't think I'm going to be able to convince my wife to do that. I don't think she's very interested in this game. Another thing that they showed was that you can take different routes throughout the Lilat system when you're going through the game. So when you play the game one time, you can go through one route, and obviously, when you're going through it again, you can take a different route, and it will change the missions and stuff in the game. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit later when I talk about my Star Fox experience. But I'm under the impression that the original game worked like that as well. Let's see. They said this game is only going to be on Nintendo Switch 2, and it comes out June 25th. So about 6 weeks away from right now, which is pretty cool. I like having these shorter build-up to games. I also like to see that this game is coming at $49.99 digitally and $59.99 physically. Another thing that I find interesting is that when you this game is only available on Switch too, but when they showed the game share graphic in the in the direct, there were pictures of Switch Ones there as well. So you might be able to game share with somebody who is playing on Switch One. I'm not sure. I think it would be uncharacteristic of Nintendo to put that in there if that is not something that the Switch One can do. But we're getting, yeah, so we'll have to kind of wait and see on that one. I've never actually used the game share features on Switch or Switch 2. So I don't really know how that'll work. They also talked about the very, very weird and unsettling avatars that you can use, that basically it's like a Star Fox deep fake, where any movement that you do, it will mimic your same movement, including like your eyebrows and all this stuff, and it's kind of weird. No matter there was a couple videos going around on Twitter that looked weird, and there was another video of it actually in the direct that was weird. Every time it looks really weird. But yeah, that's the Star Fox Direct. And as for myself, I actually think this game looks really good. I'm gonna go ahead. I think I'm gonna be there day one. Assuming that nothing else is gonna be coming around. I don't know of anything else coming out at that time that would make me want to jump and play that instead. But what really intrigues me about this game is that it looks like a really high quality version of Star Fox 64. And personally, I've never played Star Fox 64, so it wouldn't necessarily be me buying a game that I already have. And my only real experience with Star Fox is through Star Fox Command, which is a Nintendo DS game. And it's back there somewhere on my shelf. And I loved that game. And I remember playing, I mentioned earlier that you can take like different paths through the Lilat system. When I first played Star Fox Command, and you make like different choices throughout the story, and then you could get different endings, that completely blew my mind as a kid, that like the things that I'm doing could impact things that were happening in game. And I know that when Star Fox Command came out in probably like 2005 or 2006, that wasn't a new thing in games, because role-playing games have been doing that for a very long time, but I had never experienced anything like that before. So it was really, really incredible to me. And so I'm looking forward to that. I also really think that what I remember Star Fox Command looking like, not like graphically, but the structure and like the gameplay design and stuff, what I remember it looking like on a Nintendo DS is actually, I guess, pretty faithful to Star Fox, because it looks a lot like what this looked like, which is another thing that kind of makes it interesting to me. And then finally, one thing that I did notice was that I was hearing some of this Star Fox music, and I was feeling kind of nostalgic for it. And it occurred to me that the reason I was feeling that way was actually from hearing it in Super Smash Bros. For so many years, and not because of any Star Fox game that I've actually played. And so I thought that was kind of funny, and I wanted to share that as well. So that's it for the Star Fox Direct. I do actually, one last thing that I want to throw in here real quick. I think that this makes a pretty good case for them putting Star Fox Adventures on Nintendo Switch Online, which I don't think has happened yet, but that was one of my games last year that I said that I would like to see. That was one of the GameCube games specifically that I said I would like to see on Nintendo Switch Online. I would like for them, if it were up to me, they would release Star Fox Adventures in a way that I could actually buy it and own it on Switch, but I don't think they're gonna do that. I also don't really know if they like that game and would consider it a valuable piece of Star Fox history, I guess. Anyway, let's keep moving. Number 2, the Choose Your Game Switch 2 bundle launches this summer. So we talked about a Nintendo Switch 2 bundle last week of Pokemon Pokopia that was going to have a different box, and but the Switch itself was going to be the same. This is a different variation of a bundle where it looks like the Switch box is going to stay the same, and if I understand this correctly, it's going to give you a code for the eShop that you can redeem, and then it'll have you choose one of 3 games. And those 3 games are going to be Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, and Pokemon Pokopia. So I think it's clear that obviously Nintendo views those as their top games on the platform. I think obviously Mario Kart World had the launch bundle. Pokemon Pokopia has its own bundle as well. And then Donkey Kong Bonanza this is the first time that Donkey Kong Bonanza is going to be available with a bundle. So that's nice. And you can save so I didn't mention yet, but the bundle is going to be $500, and you can save, I think, up to $30 but on the game by getting it this way, depending on which game you choose. I know Mario Kart World and Pokemon Pokopia are $80. I don't remember if Donkey Kong Bonanza was $80. Now that I'm saying that, I don't even remember if Pokopia was $80. It might have also been $70. But I do think it's a little bit disappointing that this is not a different design of the Switch console or the box. That's not super surprising, though. I am fascinated by these redeemable codes, though. If it were up to me, I should have probably looked into this. I wonder if you were to buy this bundle from Nintendo's online store, if you would have an option to get a physical copy of the game. That would be really cool. I think I would choose that. But I would definitely recommend grabbing this bundle. And my understanding is that this bundle is only going to be for the summer, especially considering what I'm about to talk about next. Number 3, Nintendo Switch 2 prices are going up. So basically, the price of the Switch console with the Switch 2 console without a game is going to be going up from $450 to $500. We know that this is going into effect September 1st, and those bundles that I just talked about, those $500 bundles, I expect them to just kind of keep selling. Like, realistically, the way that I'm kind of viewing this is like, okay, the Switch is now $500 and you're giving away free games this summer. And so you're basically getting $80 off if you buy this soon. You're basically getting the console and a free game. Considering that new $500 price point. So definitely, if you're interested in getting a Switch 2, I would go ahead and buy one before September 1st, especially considering that it doesn't seem it seems like the days of electronics getting cheaper are behind us. I wouldn't expect the Switch 2 to drop in price probably ever. So if you want one, go out and get one or pay more for it later. Number 4, Nintendo has announced a brand new Amiibo. Nintendo has announced a brand new Amiibo. I was starting to read what the Amiibo is already. So, Minoru's Construct from Tears of the Kingdom. So Minoru's Construct is the only one of basically the champions that's not available already as an Amiibo. So it's finally coming out. I think they announced a while ago that this was going to happen. I'm surprised it's taken so long. So Tears of the Kingdom came out in 2023, which was 3 years ago. But some info about this Amiibo is that it's going to be a large Amiibo and it's going to have posable arms, similar to the Guardian Amiibo from Breath of the Wild. And it comes out September 17th. And then this is the part that I'm not a huge fan of. This Amiibo is going to be $34.99. That's gonna sting a little bit, but I think I'm gonna get one. When this comes out, if I don't get it, it will be the only Amiibo from the entire Zelda series that I don't have. And when you consider that when the Guardian came out, in my mind, I'm thinking the Guardian Amiibo came out at $50, but I don't think that's right. I think it might have been $25, and I think at the time, a $25 Amiibo was, like, insane, because this is when Amiibos would have been, like, $12 each. But I think it's always exciting for them to announce new Amiibo. I'm getting a nice little stack of Amiibo here that I have to go out and find now. I think there's, like, 4 or 5 Super Mario Brothers Amiibos that I need to go find, and now this Tears of the Kingdom one, too. Let's move on. Number 5, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book is now available to try at participating stores. This is not really uncommon for Nintendo first-party games to be featured at some stores. The participating stores are GameStop, Target, Walmart, and Best Buy. And I don't think it's every single store. I think it's just kind of most of them. I can't picture a GameStop having a section where you can go and play a game, like a demo. I know that they exist, but I don't think any of the ones around me have them. I feel like Target is where I kind of picture this the most. This is actually kind of tempting. I didn't know about this until I was looking through Nintendo's Twitter feed, preparing for this video. But I think this is really tempting for me. I think that Yoshi and the Mysterious Book looks really good, and I would say that if you're kind of on the fence about the game, go and check it out at one of those stores and let me know what you think. But I'm gonna wait. I already have the game pre-ordered. I'm really looking forward to checking it out when it comes out on May 21st, I think. Number 6, there are some new additions to Nintendo Music. 10 tracks from the upcoming Star Fox game, just called Star Fox, are available in Nintendo Music. They have a runtime of about 30 minutes. I think it's mostly remastered music from the original Star Fox game, or from Star Fox 64, which I don't even know if that's the original Star Fox game. Shows you how much I know about Star Fox. And that's cool to see them adding this as a way to kind of do like a pre-promotion for a game. I don't know that they've really done that a whole bunch before. Usually it's around the game, or usually it's like kind of around the game when the game like comes out. They do that. And then finally, number 7, the Nintendo Store is changing its name, and you will not believe what they're gonna call it. Not really. On May 10th, my Nintendo Store will be changing its name to Nintendo Store, and it's quite shocking. I don't have anything to say about that last one. One other thing that I do want to tack on here really quick at the end as a kind of brief number 8. I was going to bring up how I was going to talk about Mercury Steam and how they've recently been talking about layoffs in their studio. Mercury Steam is relevant to Nintendo fans because they made the 3DS remake of Samus of Metroid 2, and then the 2021 Switch game Metroid Dread. And then they also, since then, they've released a game in 2025 that I've never heard of. But this is kind of disappointing because I've wanted more Metroid stuff out of them. I was hoping that they would port Samus Returns to Switch at some point. It doesn't look like that's going to be happening. I don't know what the scope of the layoffs are, but I wanted to go ahead and talk about that here really quick, even though that's not exactly Nintendo news. And guys, I think that's all that I have for today. In the comment section, please let me know what you think of these items I've discussed. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next mission.